What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we are also presented by Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus, and we have another double-header interview day here on Morning Cuppa Hockey. We got John Vanbiesbrouck, the former NHLer and current general manager of Team USA's World Junior team, which is coming up here in the next week or so when the games kick off. We'll have him on in the next 3 minutes. And we will also have our friend James Van Riemsdyk, who played last night against the Utah Mammoth on TNT. We get Reamer every other week, so we'll catch up with him and hear about the Detroit Red Wings. Before we bring on Beezer Colby, and yes, I am calling him by his nickname, so don't give me shit for it off the bat. I don't know if I'll say it to his face, but maybe we'll have to get his approval on it. We just want to give a quick shout out. Maybe we'll get into it after we talk to John. A quick shout out to our friends at Spit and Chicklets about their Netflix deal. Really cool thing, huge deal, changing the landscape of podcasting, and great for hockey.
Yeah.
So big shout out to all of our friends there at Chicklets, especially G, who is a constant contributor in our chat, which we love.
So we will get to that. We'll talk more about it. And I have to make a confession here before John Vanbiesbrouck comes on the show. You know, there are certain guys I feel like that I grew up watching. They were like in the sweet spot of when I was just a young kid and such a diehard fan. And, you know, John Vanbiesbrouck, when he signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, it's almost a core memory for me as a kid. I mean, it was during the height of my, obsession with the game of hockey. I mean, I would sit in my classrooms in the morning and just list players' names out from every roster, while I was bored in class in elementary school or middle school or whatever, right? Probably middle school. But so to get him on our show today is very cool for me. Like, the hockey fan in me definitely was more excited than normal, right? I mean, I just have him in that sort of group of people. Like, when I think about John LeClair and I think about some of those other legendary Flyers that I grew up, and the goaltending was always such a big talking point in Philadelphia. So really excited to have John on. Vic, please bring him into the show. And we're going to have to start with some of the fun personal stuff before we get into the U.S. World Junior stuff and everything going on in the landscape of hockey. And John, good morning. It is great to see you. We've never had a chance to meet before, but really, really appreciate you taking the time with us this morning.
Good to be on with you guys.
Yeah. And I wanted to start with your goalie mask that you wore when you were a Philadelphia Flyer. Like, I have to start there because it's such an iconic memory for me. That shimmering mask when you signed with the Philadelphia Flyers as a free agent. I mean, and then we started doing some digging, John, and you have a number of masks that I feel like are pretty damn iconic throughout your career. And was that something that was always really important to you, that and something you were heavily involved in, or did you have a great assistant or a great artist that you just let them do your thing? I mean, I'm not usually someone who geeks out over equipment or gear. I wasn't a goalie, but I just remember this stuff so well from your career.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about there with masks. I believe that it was more creative by Don Strauss, who was the maker of Armadillo masks. And once I converted over from a helmet cage combination, it was just the artwork took over. And, we had some bad renditions to start. So, you learn by failing first. But Don was a creative mind that could take a crest from a jersey like Florida and put it right on the mask and make it look, that way. And when you can size that out and do it to scale and make it come alive like that, that's a special gift.
Well, the Florida mask too. I mean, listen, I grew up in New York, have a lot of friends, family in Florida. I think this one's cooler personally, and I'm a bigger fan of the Leaping Panther. Like that red jersey that Vic is showing on the screen right now, to me, is a top 3 NHL jersey of all time. And I'm actually curious, like, you played for a couple of different teams with great logos. Like, what was your favorite jersey that you wore? Like, the Ranger one's a classic, obviously. The Flyer one's pretty sweet, but that one to me is my favorite.
Well, Florida was an expansion team, so you know how it goes when it comes to expansion, and you're wondering what it's going to look like or what's hot at the time. And I didn't know Panthers actually existed in Florida. So when they came out and said Florida Panthers, I'm thinking, everybody's thinking Miami Ice, and at that time it was hot and poppy. But the Panther and the staying power with that jersey, this the first time I saw it, we were at Mickey Mantle's, actually, in New York City. Wayne Huizinga, the owner of the team at the time, brought in the jersey and had an announcement of what it was going to look like, and it just had so much staying power. I was thinking, wow, the person that detailed this and put the time into it really had a lot of thought to it. So I had a profound amount of respect for it before I even wore it.
Well, I feel like, on that note, and may I call you Beezer? Am I allowed?
Come on, Johnny. Absolutely.
All right, I'm calling you Beezer. Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So Beezer, you're the perfect guy to ask. Like, you got the Rangers and Panthers playing in the Winter Classic this year, two teams you played a very long time for. I'm sure it's like a special matchup for you. But, like, I got to ask you, if you're standing in the crease with all your goalie gear on and it's 75 degrees out, like, how are you going to play your best game? Like, let's be real here. It's going to be a pretty crazy environment for those players, no?
Well, those two teams are pretty focused. The environments are interesting, especially, I played in the first outdoor game, and believe it or not, it was at Caesar's Palace. I was a Ranger
so
at the time.
Sick.
We played the Los Angeles Kings when Gretz first went there, and you're thinking, how's this ever going to happen? And that's kind of the thought today when they're going to play outdoor in Florida again, and it's amazing with the technology. We might need to fly those guys to the Olympics to help us out a little bit.
Yeah, it's there's just so much good history that you've been a part of as a player, and then your career ends and you start working your way. You see the way that this whole landscape has changed, and I feel like your position as assistant executive director of USA Hockey, also the general manager of the World Junior team, amongst many other things that you do, but you've been a GM in the O, you've been a GM in the USHL, now you have this position at USA Hockey. I feel like you've sat in so many different chairs for some of these things, and I'm wondering, does that help you circle the whole hockey landscape right now, John, and sort of bring everything together? Because you do have this unique point of view where you've kind of sat on both sides of this whole new landscape that we're living right now.
Well, it's an interesting question because nobody truly knows where it's going and where it's going to land. I believe that having the experience, having gone through it, understanding our North American system, we really need to have a North American system because 85% of the players developed in the world come from North America, Canada, the U.S. And we have a tremendous amount of respect for the Canadian system, always have. Although this season we've seen, over 215 players go to Major Junior, which is an all-time high because of the landscape. One rule a November ago changed that landscape, and people responded to it, which is a big impact at the highest level of our sport. Really affected the USHL, and we're extremely concerned about that. But the future of where this goes is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to have a better system in place. And we'll get to talking, to the college teams. And, the one thing that's happening that most people don't understand is that the NCAA doesn't run college hockey. And, it's a total separate entity, even though the money and the way that the revenues and expenses for each organization, each school is changing. But they're not tied into a system, and it's affecting a lot of college teams. Mostly people think it's in a positive way. But we need equality. We need equity out there for every team to have a chance to win. Like Western won last year, won the NCAA championship. we need to have those teams competing and actually elevating in order to have a healthy landscape. But when it comes back to junior hockey, I think, there's a lot of level-headedness out there, but everybody's always after the best player, and that'll continue. And we have to think about the players, not just the top 25, the 25 after them, and then, we're talking when you start getting into third, fourth, fifth round picks, those players are going to begin to play in the National Hockey League more than ever.
And with that too, and the familiarity of the World Juniors, I think like with college and Beezer, I've said this, like I think the growth of the game of hockey starts with making college hockey more popular. Just because in the States, like a lot of my friends like grew up big NBA fans, big NFL fans. They know who the New York Jets and New York Knicks are drafting because they watch college basketball and college football. And I think if we watch the World Juniors this year and the best players on every team, oh, well, that guy plays for UConn, that guy plays for North Dakota. You know what I mean? Like the familiarity with the alumni and how big college hockey can be. Like, do you see that at all? Like, do you see the growth of college hockey making the familiarity with the players more popular for the game overall?
Yeah, it's an interesting proposition there, Johnny. I think that, the United States has always been a college-bound country, and people have always followed high school to college principles. I think that in college hockey, it's never been better. So the health of each organization, the growth of some of the teams that maybe have to reboot and remake themselves. I mean, there's a hunger there. But as far as the awareness, I think it's going to click. It's going to click because the best players are going to be playing there, and that the NHL teams want them to mature and develop there, because age becomes a factor. Junior hockey has an age issue. You age out after 20 years old. So, I mean, the college landscape will only increase, especially, free agent wise, and elevate with, tracking the player. The one thing that college hockey has done is had a late entry into college, which is totally different than the other sports. Once you graduate high school, you go directly into college. The late entry for college hockey has delayed that relationship, as you're talking, Johnny, for people to identify going right from high school to college. And, whether that changes or not, that part of it, I think you're going to see a lot more true freshmen, 18-year-old players. But, the impact on a team when you're playing against 23-year-olds is hard to track against.
Yeah, no matter how good you are at 18 years old, it's a difficult step to make into that college hockey. I mean, I did it as an 18-year-old, and I was great, really lucky to have great coaches and great teammates that kind of help you through those early years. So, I want to talk to you now, John, about this U.S. World Junior team. You're the general manager. You're the back-to-back gold medal champs, which we're obviously very proud of. We do have a lot of Canadians in our chat, so it's a great opportunity for them to hear about how good our team could potentially be this season or this World Juniors. And I think part of what Johnny's talking about, people really get familiar with our prospects during the World Juniors. It's a coming out party for a lot of guys to get their names out there either before the draft or once they're drafted. And I'm curious from your point of view, because we had Pete DeBoer on our show the other day, and he was talking about how when they're picking the Canadian Olympic team and they're doing their player evals, everybody gets a vote. They go around the table, everybody gives their vote and gives their 2 cents. When you're picking this World Junior team, John, is it a similar situation where you've got a group of really talented people? You've got good coaching. Obviously, the whole staff is they're a bunch of winners. You've been a part of this. Pat Keller. I mean, there's just so many names that are so crucial to the success that we've had in USA hockey. But I'm wondering how it works exactly with this World Junior team. Is it a committee picking this team? Is it the general manager says, I got the trump card, so I'm making my decision? Or like, how does that sort of workflow for picking our team?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question that is a bit of a pyramid, because we go from scouting, and we have a good group out there that helps us get to, well, this year we have 30. We're probably heavy by 2 players. But we have the ability to adjust, on how many players we bring in. And you want to have a flow in camp. So therefore, you have to engage with the coaches to help shape what they want to have, right? Because a lot of it has to do with specialty teams. A lot of it has to do with players playing really well at the time, confident. And a lot of it has to do how you become a team. I mean, I think that we're picking a team, and we're picking a team that potentially has, and I don't want to get into role play because I believe that we need to have 4 lines that can score and chase and hunt and play a brand that really allows us to have success. And the coaches, they have to believe in that too. So, but when it gets to the evals and the selection process, everybody's in on it. We meet every day. We meet on practices. We'll see elements of the practice that we like. We break it down. I mean, we grind it down, I should say, like a fine pearl. I mean, yes, we do overthink it at times. So, but the point is we want to get everybody an equal opportunity. And then the real important part is getting the team prepared to play. So right now, as we're speaking today, it's a really hard piece of eval versus getting the team prepared to play. And so the coaches have a heavy influence on who they want to see in what positions.
Well, that actually leads into my next question. And again, just so you're clear, Beezer, I'm the dramatic one on the show, so I could be a little bit out of whack here with this question. But you got to think this is a unique year for Team USA. I mean, back-to-back champs for the first time ever, and this year is on home soil. And you got to think about the moment of how big this is for these kids. But like you look at the roster and you see, I'll actually shout out the 2 BU guys because I think they play with a ton of swagger. And I know there's more BU, but Cole Eiserman and Cole Hudson, like those kids, the way they carry themselves on the ice, they like get the fans into it. They'll selly that, they go nuts. And I love watching those 2 kids, but they've done it now, on Sweden soil, on Canadian soil, like 2 years ago in Sweden, where you saw Ryan Leonard blowing kisses and the guys really like embracing being the villain. It feels like for the younger kids, there is always way more pressure at home. And even in the NHL, there's way more pressure at home because you don't want to disappoint your own fans, right? So with this particular World Junior tournament, like, do the guys understand like how unique and sick this year is? Because the target's going to be on their back after tormenting the other countries in their own soil for the past 2 years.
Yeah, Johnny, I think you touch on a really big point.
Not too dramatic?
Well, it's a dramatic point. We'll give you that one. But I think that you're touching on something we are focusing on quite daily, and that is how we're going to manage that very piece of being on home soil. But pressure is self-induced. And, if we talk about it and, talk about home soil, it should be an advantage. And we truly want to have fans behind us. But the part that could trip a switch is when we do get too emotional and tied up with what we have to do for the fans and what we have to do for the state of Minnesota and the country, the United States. I think we've had that pressure. These players have had that pressure, as you mentioned, for a while. And interesting, when you bring up the BU guys, I mean, Cole Eiserman came into my office. I have an office at USA Arena, and when he was at the NTDP, he wanted to make the team as a double underage and thought he should have. And
I love that.
I let him talk. I let him talk. Go ahead, Cole. Tell me how, what you want to say. And then I said, it's not your time. But in 2 years, when we're in Minnesota and the puck's on your stick, it's going to be your time. And Here we are. So that's the thing that you have to have maturity and patience about. And I believe we have to guide them. And hopefully we guide them into a sweet spot where they understand that there aren't any distractions. The path is straight. And it's not just based on, the end result and the winning part. It's based on how we play and perform in the moment. And that's the hardest piece to this, is staying in the moment, not getting too far ahead of yourself. And you know what? If people have a target on our back, that means because we're very popular and we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, listen,
I love that story from Cole too. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it doesn't. We've had Cole on the show before. I've gotten to know him really well since he's been a Terrier. I love the kid. I love the way he's matured and developed, and he's trying so hard to be a good. He is a good captain, honestly, and he's doing a great job as an underclassman captain over on ComAv this year. So we'll be rooting for him. We'll be rooting for you, John. I'm a product of USA Hockey. I went through the development team. And through the U.S. system, through Glenn Heffron, through the Atlantic District, is somebody who's known me my whole life, and so I'm always rooting for you guys, and obviously Jonny too. But it's so special anytime we get to see USA versus Canada, or even just see those jerseys. There's something, that unity, sacrifice, attitude chant is something that I remember quite well, and that's a lot of years ago. But I remember it well. So good luck at the tournament. We'll be rooting for you.
I have one more.
As you always do, Jonny.
It's important. It's important. Are we sticking with Freebird as the goal song?
We are.
Okay. That's all I needed to know. Okay.
All right. That was a good question. I'll give it to you,
Jonny.
Jonny.
High. Let's go, boys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on
Beezer.
today, John. And we're rooting for you guys. And thanks for going into some of the junior hockey stuff. It really is fascinating, because as much as we mostly talk about the NHL on here, where does the NHL get their players from, right? So it's important that everybody understands what's going on. So thanks for your time today. Give Fishy our best, and go USA.
Amen, boys. Let's go.
All right.
Thanks, Beezer. I love that. That's awesome. Great stuff, Colby. I'm sure that was really cool for you.
Listen, you can feel the intensity from him.
Yeah.
You can feel the intensity. Like, people that don't have to act intense, but you can feel the intensity, they're usually the guys that were really good players. You know what I mean? Or really good coaches. And I mean, look, I don't know why, because again, I was never, maybe it's from basement. I have two older brothers. So in the basement growing up, my younger brother's 7 years younger than me. So he was really too young. So like, I was the goalie in the basement growing up. And, but I wasn't like a fan of goaltenders, right? I liked John LeClaire. I liked Eric Lindros, whatever. Like, I liked Joe Sakic, was actually really probably my favorite player growing up. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it was his masks. I don't know if he was the biggest acquisition goaltender the Flyers had when I was a kid or what, but always such a big fan of his. And, I don't have those moments often, Jonny, because you get to know these people, even you, right? Like, you're around everyone now. You're around the Hall of Famers. You're around all these people. And other than
but I still get giddy. I even get giddy when I'm talking to like an 18-year-old.
Other than your Mark Messier incident, you've done a pretty good job about that. So you lose a little bit of that shine, that childish shine that you have. And so that was cool for me, because like, I've never met him and never had a chance to talk to him. And he did say one really interesting thing, Jonny, that I wanted to kind of circle back on before we kind of move forward with the show. And, we'll have JVR here in the next 10 or so minutes, but he called it a North American system. And I agree with that. I think it's important that both countries maintain an identity, and, have their own, listen, we're two different countries. And so you have to maintain whatever each country's identity is. But what I've sort of been yelling and preaching about is like a cooperation between all these people and all these parties. And I would say, like, that to me would be a North American system. And that was really interesting that he said, because it only makes the National Hockey League better. And, D White in our chat, who is, an Oilers fan and always here with us early in the morning and always a good contributor to our show, feels like the junior hockey system is lagging a little bit in Canada right now. And like, I don't think that that's a good thing. I think it's really important that the USHL and the CHL are really strong. And I think that this whole idea of a North American system, while maintaining identities on both sides of the border are important. That collaboration at the top, I think, is only going to make the NHL better. You're like dying to say something here, so just interrupt.
You can tell.
Me and say it. Yeah, you
no,
look like you're going to pee or something, honestly.
No. It's so funny. Yeah, I'm like itching for you to just be done with that rant. But
so cut me off. I don't care.
Well, while you were talking about like, you know, us growing up loving goalies, but not like wanting to be a goalie. Like, I think every kid has the memories of playing goalie in their basement saying like, you know, the Gary Thorne, like I want to make you uncomfortable and make you do your best Gary Thorne, save Vanbiesbrouck. Like every kid did that. Like I did the Sam Rosen, save by Lundqvist. Like when I played goalie
Gary
in my basement.
I have my one Gary Thorne moment, and it was the goal that he called of my own. So Cohen shot goes in. Like, come on, like it's my own. That's my Gary Thorne moment. And if you want to look it up, go look it up. Just type in Colby Cohen game-winning goal. You could hear Gary Thorne calling the biggest moment of my sports career. So that's my Gary Thorne moment, pal. Not a save.
But you know what I mean? Like all of us when we play hockey in our basement, like if we're in goal, like I was always playing goalie in mini sticks because I loved like I didn't play goalie ever, so that was my chance to play goalie. And every time I'd make a save when I was 10, 11, 12, I'd be like, saved by Lundqvist. Like that was just like the Sam Rosen thing, you know? And I feel like for Gary Thorne and Vanbiesbrouck, like I think I could like vividly remember hearing Gary Thorne just say like, save Vanbiesbrouck. Like he would say it like that way or whatever. But I just wanted to make you uncomfortable and put you on the spot and have you say that.
No, that's okay.
That's all I was itching to do.
And you know what else is interesting? And I guess I'd have to look this up. I don't remember John Vanbiesbrouck being like a huge guy. I don't remember him being like the goalies now are like, they all look like Megatron.
Yeah, they're huge.
I feel like I remember him being a smaller guy, you know, under 6 feet for sure. I didn't look it up because I didn't think we were going to be talking about his height, but I do remember him just being super athletic and, you know, being willing to come out and challenge people and, you know, again, so great having him on today. Listen, he's the general manager of the World Junior team. He sits at the, you know, the head of the table along with Pat Kelleher, who we've had on the show. Obviously Jonny and my connections run a hell of a lot deeper in USA Hockey than Hockey Canada. Like I can't imagine we would have a lot of success if we tried to get WHL commissioner, CHL commissioner. I don't think any of those people would be wanting to come on our show. Especially with all the shots that I've taken at the smoothies and dumbbells guy out in the Western Hockey League. So, I mean, listen, it's all in good fun. Like if you say it, we're going to talk about it. So it's not like we're just making shit up. We're just laughing about comments that are made. So, listen, we didn't even talk to him about the Olympics, which he's involved in. We didn't talk to him about World Championships because right now World Juniors is obviously the next tournament to come. So we'll be looking for an announcement here in the coming days of who made the team and what it's going to look like. And then, you know, they're off and running, and it'll be a great opportunity for people to see the red, white, and blue. And if you're Canadian, obviously you'll have great coverage in Canada. I mean, the way TSN covers the World Juniors is you know, it's top flight from what I understand. I mean, they get Mike Johnson involved. They've got Gordon Miller involved. Like they send their best to
James Duthie, friend of the show.
James Duthie. And then obviously NHL Network will do ours. I'm sure Tony Granato will be back doing color and
John Morosi too will be there.
John Morosi does a great job with some different items throughout that, and you know, obviously we don't have Dave Starman on that anymore because he's doing the Rangers now. But I always thought Dave Starman did a tremendous job with World Juniors. I mean, I thought he was a hardworking guy, and I thought, you know, Starman brought a ton of knowledge to that broadcast that I don't think we would have gotten without him. So yeah, listen, great conversation, very interesting. You know, good to have him on, and you know, good to chat with him a little bit.
Yeah, and again, there's some other NHL news, to get in before we bring on James Van Riemsdyk. But before we do that, just a quick word from our sponsor, Bauer. It's never been easier to shop for the hockey lover on your list. Bauer's holiday gift guides bring everything together in one curated destination. From pro-level gear for players to lifestyle essentials for fans, parents, and kids, explore custom sticks and skates that turn into truly unforgettable presents, complete with clear order by dates to guarantee holiday delivery. And if you need a little extra help choosing the right setup, Bauer's expert stick and skate buying guides walk you through every step so you can give with confidence. Perfect gifts, zero hassle, all at Bauer.com. Colby, yesterday, big news. The Fenway Sports Group sold the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Hoffman Group. And obviously, you and I will have to talk about what that means for Kyle Dubas. But that also did spark a lot of funny comments. Like our Tyler Uremchuk, a friend of the show, I think texted us like they saw Skinner play one game and we're like, yep, we're out. So that was pretty funny. Unfortunate timing for Stu Skinner. But what do you think this means for Kyle Dubas? Obviously, he's brought in to help the Penguins with their, quote unquote rebuild. Obviously, it's tough to rebuild right now with Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and Erik Karlsson on their team. But do you think this is, trouble for Kyle Dubas with a new ownership group?
I don't think the word trouble is the right word to use. But look, if you spent $1.7 billion on something, I would assume you're going to evaluate all the people that are there. And most people, that are going into a transaction like that, they probably have some of their own people in mind. And was widely reported, and I actually know this to be fact because I do know somebody very much on the inside at Fenway Sports Group. They really like the analytics angle, and they really kind of worked themselves into the Kyle Dubas hire via the analytics angle and the outlook and how he looks to build his team. So I don't think it's immediate trouble for Kyle Dubas by any means. I mean, the team has done well this year. Everybody thought they were going to be the worst team in the NHL, and they're sniffing on a playoff spot, maybe even today in a playoff spot or 1 or 2 points out. So he's done a good job. I think the coaching staff has done a tremendous job. But look, everybody wants their own people. That's human nature. So it probably shortens his leash, but I don't think it's immediate trouble. I would say, let's say he had a 10-foot leash. He's probably got a 5-foot leash now. And then after the season, they're probably going to want to evaluate everything. And so I think that's the biggest thing. Remember, owners get as many hires as they want. It's not like a GM who only gets a couple of coaching hires. You're not firing an owner, right? I mean, we talked about this with the Pagulas the other day. You can keep hiring and hiring and hiring if you need to. So I think all this did, Johnny, at the end of the day, it probably crunches his timeline a little bit. But listen, he had a massive contract. Those are guaranteed contracts unless you do something stupid and get fired for cause, right? Like, don't be the idiot like the Michigan football coach was an absolute moron.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's totally different.
Like that, then you're going to get paid either way if you're Kyle Dubas. So, like, what does he care? I mean, I say that casually. Nobody wants to be fired. But still, I'd say, again, not immediate trouble, but some discomfort maybe.
Mm-hmm. And what did you make of Terry Pegula being at practice? Like, obviously, you could probably speak to it firsthand. I mean, when a owner, and I saw some people tweeting like, Pegula would show up in Florida or whatever, but on a Wednesday during football season, him being on the bench at practice, like that can't be a good sign. Or maybe it is a good sign that like the owner's now invested in this new chapter, new direction, and he's showing up. Like, what did you think for that?
I think one of the criticisms is maybe that he meddles a little bit with his Buffalo teams, and he puts the wrong people in charge that, basically will still let him be involved. And I think one of the only owners we've seen successfully really be a meddler is Tom Dundon in Carolina, right? I mean, what other owners really meddling? I mean, I've heard of some stories out here in the East, and I'm not going to name names just because it wouldn't be right to do, where owners are meddling and front office members are actually getting kind of frustrated because they're in the middle of a rebuild and whatever. So I'm not sure that's a good thing. I think there's probably a delicate balance of saying, hey guys, I'm behind you, and meddling. But at the end of the day, something we all got to realize, these are mega wealthy people who are never told no. Okay. They're the person who signs every paycheck for the hundreds and hundreds of employees, including the players. Okay. And so they can do whatever the hell they want. If he wants to get behind the bench and coach the team, who's going to tell him no?
Yeah.
Seriously. Who the hell is going to tell him no? And so I don't know really, Johnny, what that means, if that's a good thing or not. I'm not, my ear's not close enough to the ground in Buffalo. But I could tell you this, growing up in this market in Philadelphia, Ed Snyder was in the foxhole with his players. I mean, he was in the locker room high-fiving and hugging guys. And when they lost, he wasn't afraid to get into guys if they weren't playing well. But I think he built that relationship and that trust with the organization, with the city, with the fans, so he could do that. I don't think Terry Pegula has built that trust with his fan base in Buffalo, at least for the hockey team. Okay, somebody told me yesterday they have like the most successful lacrosse franchise in the
Yeah,
NFL.
they do. They sell out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
So
he's got two teams doing something really, really right, and he's got one team doing something really, really wrong. And I do agree, Dean Youngblug in our chat, like you can't replace a Snyder, an Ed Snyder. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I got to grow up in his sort of, I wouldn't say his circle, but his bubble. Just because my mother, grew up with the Snyder boys. They went to school together. They lived down the street from each other. My mom had a long history with Craig Snyder. Personally, he's still around. He's still in our lives. They're still friends. I still hear from Craig. I ran into Craig and Jay Snyder at a Phillies game maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and they still treat me like a family member. And I'll never forget as a kid, like, they brought Eric Lindros to like my 10th or 11th birthday party.
Really?
At my house.
That's cool.
Just because my mom's relationship with the Snyders. Like, I used to get to go to training camp when Roger Nielsen was the coach. Dude, I used to get to go on the ice after practice at the old Coliseum and go in the locker room during training camp when Roger Nielsen was the coach. Like, it was incredible access that I had as a kid, all because of the Snyders, because of my mom's relationship with them. She has pictures drinking from the cup in the locker room in the 70s when they won. She has a picture where Bobby Clark has her arm around her and the Stanley Cup is between her, and there's just like beer everywhere. So very, very cool history there. So you can't replace Ed Snyder. I'm going on a tangent, but
no, you're good. It's cool.
A legendary owner. A legendary owner.
And now they have Mitchkov, who won't back check. I'm just fucking with you.
Dude, I saw there was a lot of beef online this week of this whole Mitchkov Demidov thing.
Flyers fans are unreal this year. I'm actually excited. The Rangers play the Flyers at 12:30 on Saturday.
Yeah, they usually do one of those afternoon games. So so I'm laughing at some of the comments. Somebody's asking,
I just saw one got deleted or something.
Bobby Clark chop your mom's ankle like he did to the Russians. Yeah. I laughed at that. I think General Soreness deleted that one, but I thought that was pretty funny. I did think that was pretty funny. So all good. It's all on sides. It's no big deal. Like I'm talking about it, so you guys can take shots and make jokes. It's all good. You guys know I might yell back, but I have thick skin, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Last night, the two games, I watched the TNT games, the Red Wings Mammoth. We got JVR coming on here in a bit. We'll talk to him about the game last night and just about the Red Wings in general. But the Devils, did you catch the late game last night in Vegas? What a game it was.
I watched the early game. No Jack Eichel last night, right?
No Jack Eichel. Brett Pesce made his return, but the goaltending in last night's game, Jake Allen and Carter Hart were unbelievable in that game. And again, that was another example, Colby, of the overtime where like the shootout kind of destroys it. Jesper Bratt had a really nice shootout move. Shout out to MY Boost for that. But I was just, that was a great hockey game. That was actually a Colby Cohen hockey game, right? Like a 2-1 low scoring game. Vegas ties it late, but it's like one of those entertaining low scoring games. And I don't want to say Brett Pesce made like that immediate impact right away, but you could sense the Devils were a little bit better defensively and just more well-balanced on their blue line with Pesce returning. And I shot him a message last night that it was good to see him back. We love Brett Pesce on the show. He did a great interview with us last summer. But, a huge win for the Devils to kind of get them going here.
Another guy with a legendary dad. With a big personality and lots to say. Listen, we got to start having the dads on the show. I want Bruce Fox on this show.
Yeah, but I don't know if the kids want it.
You need to deliver Bruce Fox, and we need to get Brett Pesce's dad on these shows, and just let these guys let it fly. I am all for something like that. And look, with Pesce, No Oilers fan. Oliver is actually he's on a run right now. One of my neighbors is a big runner and has been asking me to take Oliver. You know, they run like 5 or 7 miles together in the morning. So I haven't had Ollie by my side here at my desk the last couple of mornings. But listen, you add Brett Pesce back to your lineup. He's a top 4 defenseman. You know, he's a heavy 200-foot. You know, he can make a play. He's not just a first pass guy. He can first pass, second pass, right? He can go to his third option. He's got an absolute hammer from the point. Of course, he's going to make a huge impact, right? I mean, that's what, and the other thing it does is it draws the minutes down for everybody else, right? Pesce's a guy who, when he's at the top of his game, he eats 20 minutes a night. And so, you know,
I want to see how much he played last night. I'm looking at his minutes.
You're drawing
actually
down on other guys' minutes that probably don't need the extra minutes, or you know, we talk about it all the time. You hit a threshold.
Played 24 minutes last night.
Okay, so like there you go. Like,
for a first game back,
I mean?
he was probably.
And how many minutes did Hamilton and Hughes play?
Hamilton played 25. Luke Hughes played 26. Again, like you're including overtime also 3-on-3. So
exactly,
like that
and
adds a little bit to
those
it.
3 probably ate all. But still, instead of it being 29, now it's 26. That's 3-4 extra shifts, right? So you just have a little bit more wind in your sail at that point, right? So, so listen, I think his impact cannot be understated, and I think that you know, he's a tremendous player.
Yeah, I mean, I also think like Brett Pesce is one of those guys who's super underrated, like the defensive defenseman. You talk about like Jake McCabe and Toronto. I feel like Pesce could be a similar defenseman, right? Yeah. To a
if
Jake
anything,
McCabe.
I think I as much as I love Jake McCabe, I think Pesce might be a hair better, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe he's a step or two but similar in the way that like they're not your 1A, right? They're not your number 1 defenseman, but they can play with your number 1 defenseman, right?
Yeah.
And they can do so many different things, Johnny, that, you know, they don't stunt your number 1 guy. Like, I think the Pesce and McCabe are just the perfect complements to your star, to your horse, to your Adam Fox or your Quinn Hughes or, you know, whatever, your count, whoever the big dog is. I feel like guys like that are perfect complements to those pairs.
Well, we do have Reamer here now, so I'm going to bring him on. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, JP Weisers. Just in time for the holidays, the perfect gift for the hockey and whiskey lover in your life has officially arrived. JP Weisers, the official whiskey of the NHL, is rolling out a brand new 10-year-old NHL gift pack built for fans who want to celebrate the game in style. Inside, you'll find a bottle of JP Weiser's 10-year-old Canadian whiskey, an NHL team cocktail book, team branded glassware, and a hockey-inspired stir stick to complete the set. And the best part, each pack includes one of 32 collectible NHL team cocktail glasses, so you can grab your favorite team or start collecting all 32 this season. This holiday, give the gift of the great whiskey and even better hockey memories with JP Weisers. And with that, let's bring on friend of the show, James Van Riemsdyk. Reamer, I know it wasn't the result you guys wanted last night, but you guys have been playing really good hockey lately. So is last night just a game where you brush it off, you get back to the next one and don't think about it too much? Or what was the takeaway from the 4-1 loss last night against Utah?
Yeah, you know what? I think more recently we found a lot more consistency from game to game, and that's obviously a real positive thing. I mean, if you look at the standings, it feels like I think we talked about this last time, but you're a couple games from the top and a couple games from the bottom. So it really is, as cliched as it is, just game to game. So I think that becomes even more important, that every night you just got to give yourself a chance to be in games. And that's a lot more of the mental side of the game than anything. But I think we've done a really good job of that lately, of doing that, where we're right there with our execution and what we're trying to do, and not giving anything away too easily to the other teams that we're playing. So I think we found some consistency there, and I've been doing a good job with that lately.
You know what, Reamer? Let me apologize. That was such like a post-game scrum question to me. How the hell are you, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just like dialed in.
I saw Colby shaking his head. I was trying not to laugh.
Well, and nobody laughs harder at me for that the facial expression than you. I mean, the amount of nobody calls me out harder in the last 20 years than Riemer does when it comes to my facial expressions. Like he will get. We have a couple of group chats that we're in, different groups, and some are bigger group chats and some are smaller, but nobody puts my feet to the fire and stirs it up on me harder than Reamer does. Like
I knew it myself though. I just like cringed at myself for that question off the bat. I was like, what the
You
fuck
know
am
what?
I
If there was a montage video of Colby making his different facial expressions, because he can't hide it. It just comes out.
can't.
He's just he really can't help himself. So I would love to see that. So
You should get in our pre-show meetings when we hop on before we actually like get to business. You should really see what his face looks like at 8:15.
The problem is that he first started doing it, and I was like, no, I don't make that face, because he would actually do the imitation. And then I'm watching myself sit on the Flyers TV set one night, and Chris Therien was talking actually poorly about Reamer, and you know, my antennas go up pretty quickly when anybody has anything negative to say about him. And I actually was watching the clip back, and I'm like, holy shit, I do make that facial expression that Reamer's been chirping me about for 15 years. So nobody gives it to me better about that, Reem. So I love you for it, pal. You're truly one of a kind. But
that's good stuff.
You know, I watched the game. I watched the game last night, and I said to Jonny in the pre-show meeting, I'm like, man, you could carve out a little box on the ice of like 12 square feet, and that is where you live. You go and spend all your time between the hash marks, man, and you move up and down, and you change the depth, but you're just always an option, and you're always around the goal. And look, we've talked about your net front presence, and we've talked about how good you've gotten around the net and all the goals you've scored in your career. But, even now, like, is it something you got to think about, or is it just so automatic that like, this is the area of the ice where I am most effective, so this is where I'm going to spend most of my time?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of a combination of that. I think, again, usually coming to a new team too, it is about, like you mentioned, I think some of the timing of it too. I don't think if you just go and stand there, I think it's one of those things where, again, the just being there, so you're more of an out and an option to play on the cycle, so you can keep plays alive and things like that. And then obviously, again, like you mentioned, that's where all the goals are scored. So you want to try to be there and try to create plays, keep plays alive, things like that. So I think, just figuring out some of those little nuances of the angles to stand and the timing of it comes with chemistry with some different guys.
Were you telling the other guys on PP1 to utilize the goal line a little bit more last night? I saw you calling for it. They wouldn't feed you down there on the goal line. What's going on?
No, we do a really good job with our pre-scout about what's going to be open, and that their penalty kill did it, actually. Like, they were very tight and blocked a lot of shots and gave us some challenges there last night. But those other four guys out there, the way they can snap the puck around and the poise that they have with it is pretty incredible. It makes it it allows me actually to stay more on the net versus being more of an option, because it seems like they don't need the same amount of relief maybe for certain plays, and they're able to hold it and find that. So it allows me to kind of play as more of a screen option than have to be an out on the goal line to get the puck.
Colby, if I may. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think it'd be cool for our listeners to, you mentioned pre-scout, and obviously Colby and I know what a pre-scout like meeting is, but like when you show up to the rink, what those meetings look like, before warm-up, like what happens when you show up to a rink before you actually get on the ice for a warm-up? Like, can you take us through the Red Wings schedule, like on a game day from when you arrive to the rink till before you hit the ice for warm-up?
Yeah, well, sometimes it depends if it's a back-to-back game or not, but over the course of the day, obviously we'll have like our power play meeting and go through some of that, just some of those tendencies and some of the things that we're looking for. And we've made especially in the last probably 6 weeks or so, we've been talking more about just getting to the net, getting pucks, simplifying things in that area at 5-on-5 and the power play. But I feel like, again, for a guy that likes to be at the net, I think that's definitely helped me out a lot more, be a little bit more involved offensively. So yeah, that's been great. But then, for us, we'll have usually, whether we have that PP meeting in the morning or when we get there for the game, every game we'll have our PK meeting with the whole team, and then the 5-on-5 kind of tendencies and what we're looking to do with that. So kind of running through all the different aspects of that. So obviously it's a fairly in-depth thing, and most teams play kind of similar, but usually there's 2 or 3 things every game that might be a little bit different, and that's what you're trying to really pay attention for as far as what we're trying to do and what we might adjust and what we're trying to dictate with how we want to play.
And you've obviously been on a little bit of a heater lately, right? I think you had 6 or 7 goals, and you know, pretty consistently or consecutively over the last couple of weeks. And when you get rolling like that, and the puck is seemingly finding you, and you're finding the puck, and again, a lot of your goals come from right in the dirty area, which is, you know, the old cliche: if you want to score, go stand around the net. And you know, you see the same guys scoring the same types of goals, and you're like, you know, I always said this about Cam Atkinson. He used to score a lot of goals like right on the back door, right? And I'm like, well, he's always in the right spot. So maybe there's something to that, right? And I think a lot of the same can go for you. But when you get into a stretch where you're scoring like you are, do the superstitions get a little tighter? Does the preparation get a little bit different because you're like, okay, what did I do last game? Because you really start to feel it. And again, you know, what do you have, 8 goals this year so far? So you're on a 20 goal pace or more, which is pretty damn good for an old guy like yourself.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I think over the years, maybe it would have been more of the superstitious stuff earlier on, but I think more lately, if I feel like good, bad, or ugly, I try to just stick with the same routine no matter what, so I can kind of have that kind of consistent feel game to game as far as how I feel, what I'm trying to work on, what I think comes up a lot in my game. So I feel like that even keeled approach is what I just try to do to find that consistent. And obviously there's some times when, again, you get a little of that swagger, that extra swagger maybe when pucks start going in, and that's always a fun thing to try to ride out. But yeah, that's always the fickle kind of feeling that you're chasing, is that kind of being in that flow state, I guess, as we call it. Where it just kind of, there's less thinking out there, there's more reacting, and sometimes that comes with getting a little bit more. I feel like this time of the year too, especially the last few years, being on different teams, is this time of year when you start to maybe develop some more of those little things chemistry-wise with guys and know their tendencies a little bit better, just so you know little things like, when do I go over and support them closer? When do I stay away and give them a chance to win a battle, to keep a play alive? Or where do they like to go when I have the puck in a certain area, or where I should try to go when they have the puck in a certain area? And those things may seem small, but it's again, it's usually a foot here or a foot there that maybe you stand in a little bit of a different spot, and that might be the difference between scoring a goal or keeping a play alive, or playing on offense and playing defensively, things like that. So those are those little types of nuances, I think, that become kind of more second nature as the year goes on.
It's funny, you sound kind of like Quinn Hughes, and Quinn Hughes talked about that when he did that interview the other night after his first game, about how, especially on the power play, like learning the tendencies of the players, knowing it's really the difference of 1 foot left, 1 foot right. And, you know, especially when he's playing with some of the guys that he plays with, similarly to the talent, you know, you're surrounded by some really, really talented players on that power play unit. And I'm curious, talking about Quinn Hughes with you for a second, because, you know, the Detroit Red Wings were rumored as a front runner to get him. It made a lot of sense to a lot of people. You know, the reports have since come out they were in the final grouping to potentially acquire Quinn Hughes. Is that something, Reamer, that you feel like can mess with the locker room a little bit? Because if Quinn Hughes is coming, that means a bunch of people are going. And I don't think someone like you would have to worry in a situation like that, especially in Vancouver. They're rebuilding, or they want to get young and they want prospects, or these guys who are first or second year pros. But do you think everybody else in your locker room sort of breathes easy, or do you think it's more, damn, I would have loved to have seen a Mo Seider, Quinn Hughes pairing on the Detroit Red Wings? That would have been pretty freaking cool to see in the old Wings jersey.
Yeah, you know, that's the interesting part of stuff like this. I mean, obviously that happens probably on every team to some degree every year, as far as teams maybe looking at different things and getting out there and obviously it can affect everyone maybe a little bit differently. I think as I've gotten older, I think that goes back to just the approach that I have day to day is just try to, again, make sure I'm working on the things that I feel like matter to me that I can control. And it's those stupid cliches, but I think that's like the best way to get yourself through it. And you realize again that it is a business at the end of the day. So it really is kind of outside of your control. So you try not to let too much of that affect you. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans. So again, it can, to a certain degree, maybe affect some guys more than others. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that can be an interesting thing, and I think that's why it always is interesting. Again, after certain things like that happen, just yeah, like you mentioned, just I haven't noticed much of that, but with our team, but just wondering about that in different places and things like that, where if it was starting to like leak into things, obviously this wasn't necessarily a whole drawn out, long, sort of very public sort of saga. So I think that is a different thing too. Obviously it did get out there a little bit towards the end, but I think when you see some of these ones, especially in years past, where things kind of become longer, drawn out, and it almost becomes inevitable, certain things, that I feel like that's when it becomes more stressful for a team.
It has been talked about though for a couple of years, and just to follow up on Colby's question, but like to take it in a little bit of a different direction, JVR, or Reamer. I don't know why I called you JVR, but I think like
Because that's what people that don't know him call
yeah,
him.
but I call him Reamer. I call him Reamer. Just
Yeah.
JVR sounded unnatural coming out of my mouth. But you guys are in first in the Atlantic. Like everyone's always said about the Red Wings, and I know you weren't on the team, last year or years before, but it's like, when is this team going to add? When the organization feels like it deserves to add the players to the deadline when they can go for it. And it's still probably too early for you guys to talk about that. But are those discussions in the room where it's like, all right, we're playing good hockey, we're in first in the division, like we really got a good shot here, especially with how wide open the East is right now? Like, are guys not like worried, but like, are you talking about like what this team could be bringing in? And I know my boy John Leonard gets the call up the other night and had a nice assist last night. My teammate from UMass for a little bit, but and again, like that's a good piece too. He was leading the AHL in scoring and steps in, produces last night. But now I'm going in a different direction, so I'll just shut up and let you answer the question.
Yeah. So what was the question?
It was like, do you guys talk about like adding, because you're in first in the division? It's like, we can really go on a run here.
I mean, that goes back to, again, like stuff that control versus not control, and armchair quarterback, things like that. But I think, yeah, even going into this year, obviously I was a couple weeks late into training camp with the family stuff. But yeah, I think there is a really strong belief in the group that we have right now and what we can accomplish. And again, with how tight it is, like it's got to be consistent. It's got to be every night, and you can't afford to have these kind of like basically over the course of the year. You got to minimize those games that you have where you don't give yourself a chance. I mean, obviously it's a long year. There's 82 games, and there's going to probably be a dud or two in there. But I think really limiting those and just managing games in a way where you give yourself a chance to win every night is the key in a year like this when everything's just so compacted in the standings. But as far as the belief that we have in the group and making the playoffs, like we have that confidence, and obviously that's a goal for us to do that. So yeah, we'll keep playing it out and see where all the chips fall.
So we've got a really, really interesting question from the chat that I want to read you here, Reamer, and it's from J-Rock, who's a great contributor to the show. And he says, how do you measure your own play? Is it in a game-by-game basis? Is it a 10-game sample? Is it over the course of a month? And just like, how do you measure an entire season's success? And I'll add to that for young people who are watching, is it just all about points, or is that maybe something that is a little more fan-driven than reality-driven?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, you got to have production too, right? Like, there's especially certainly, and depending on your role, that might become more forefront than not, depending on like stuff like that. But I think as you get older in your career, you just start to realize the things that matter for winning, the details that matter for winning, and those are the things that I feel like I try to prioritize in my game. So that's things like being really good on the boards and getting every single puck out that comes my way, whether that's just chunking it out and getting it over the blue line or making a good play and allowing us to go in and have some more possession and play offensively. So things like that. Obviously, like, again, going back to the details, being good around the net front, being good in the offensive zone on the boards and on the cycle game behind their net. Managing games where, again, you're not giving away anything for free. I feel like that's where it becomes, you see good teams do this, and I feel like the Panthers the last few years especially have done a really good job. They're so good at making that little 5-10 foot play where you think you're on offense and they able to get a puck out, or you think you're going on offense when you're in the defensive zone and they keep a puck alive. Like, those are the little plays that can be kind of like deflating to play against. So I feel like those are things in my game that I try to really make sure that I can bring to the table, whether that's just having a good stick and being hard to play against that way, managing games. And then usually from that, there'll be some production that comes from that. So, yeah, I think those little details, especially as you get older, they become so much more important because that's a way to be kind of lead in a lead by action type of thing. Because I think those are the things that maybe when you're coming into the league, like, you don't realize the value of, but I think those are the things that and it's not really sexy at times. Like, you're not dangling a guy or you're not flying up and down the ice a lot of times in those scenarios, but it's like, if you can really be predictable and reliable in those situations, I think that'll help you get on the ice more, and that'll help kind of tilt the ice in your team's favor a lot more often than not if you can do those sort of little things like that.
I only have one more for you, Reamer, and just looking at the schedule ahead here, you got a home. It's gonna be fun. I'm already laughing in my head, but you got a home with Trevor this weekend, and you're playing Washington Saturday and Sunday, and I'm wondering why you've never vocalized to the media that you wanted to play with your brother.
Yeah. Well, that's like an obvious thing. I don't even think it needs to be vocalized. Like, everyone, like, you grow up with your brother, you'd think that would be a cool thing, and obviously we haven't had a chance to really to do that yet. So yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. I'm sure everyone, pretty much, unless you're an outlier, would think that would be pretty cool to get a chance to play with their brother. So I don't think that's really that big of a story.
You guys can play together in the Aspen Showdown when you're both retired. You'll play for the Colorado Extreme in Aspen one weekend in 10 more years when you're both done playing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, listen, any special plans here over the holidays? What does it look like? You guys got a couple of more games and then you get a day or two with the family and then it's right back at it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're playing that 23rd and the 27th, so I'll head back home to see the fam for a couple days, and then right out to I think we start with a back-to-back right out of that break. So the schedule, it's crazy this year, and that's why, again, recovery and taking care of yourself is that much more important. I think you're seeing a lot of guys go down with. I'd love to see what the numbers are on some of that stuff. It feels like there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Guys on IR throughout the course of the year so far this year. I don't know if it's just getting more headlines because of what the schedule is or if there actually is, but it feels that way. So just making sure I'm staying on top of that. And that's the best abilities availability, I think someone once said. So
we just got an infrared sauna and a cold tub for the boys in the New Jersey Titans. So there you
go. All right.
Javi clause came through for the boys and hooked the guys up. One more thing that just popped in my mind that I did want to ask you, because I know that you are involved with the NHLPA. I know you've had various roles, big and small, throughout your career. Any rumblings of concerns about the arena not being ready from the actual PA in Milan? Like, what are you kind of hearing behind the scenes about it? Because obviously the players want to play. The ice surface being shorter is not going to keep the players from going, but there has to be an arena for them to play in. So what are you hearing from that side of things about the Olympics?
Yeah, to be honest, not a whole lot. We already had probably 2 months ago, maybe our our kind of like fall meeting and where they update us on everything that's going on, and that really wasn't mentioned or talked about too much. So I don't know. It feels like every year it kind of works itself out and ends up being ready, even though it looks. I've seen some of the pictures, as I'm sure you guys have, where you're wondering if they're going to have enough days. But I don't know. I think there was some of that stuff when we went to Russia too, went to Sochi, that they were worried about that getting completed. Maybe not this tight of a timeline, but it ended up working out. And yeah, hopefully it does, because that would definitely be a shame if it was something like that kind of put a wrench into this whole thing. So hopefully they can get it all sorted through.
Everyone will just have to chip in and get it done, and
you can lead the chipping in. Yeah,
we'll have some Olympics there, buddy. We'll all just chip in. Johnny, you got anything else you want to ask him or no?
No, I got nothing, because Colonel Ludlow's has secondhand embarrassment for me, so I'm just gonna shut up and let you guys do your thing.
All right, buddy. Listen, Merry Christmas. Give the
happy holidays.
And the other littles and Lauren my best, and we love you, and we hope that the goals continue for you. I'm thinking 24 this year for you is kind of the number. So you got some work to do, but I think it's very achievable for you.
All righty, yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Reamer.
All right, see you guys.
I'm getting tripped. Colonel Ludlow. Is that how you say it?
What?
Colonel spelt like Colonel?
Yeah, I
really?
knew that. It's like,
I didn't know that. Now I'm embarrassed.
It's like Tuscan. It's like Tuscan, Arizona. It's
really?
The same thing. You know what I mean?
Tuscan?
Yeah.
That's
no. It's not as bad because you didn't double down like I did. So it's nowhere near as bad.
You got pissed.
Oh, I doubled down. I tripled down. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. And Moya Marie knows I don't read, so
I dug my heels in on that one pretty good. So, all right, Johnny, listen, great having him on today. It really is.
He's the best.
You're talking about somebody who has very, very high end hockey IQ. Like, he's a guy that I could see him going and being a special assistant to a general manager, and then one day being a general manager. I could truly see that about him because he's such a student of the game. So great having him on today. We had JVB and JVR. We had the JV twins today coming on the show today. It was a good way to end the week.
How the hell is that pronounced Colonel?
I felt like we had a good group of guests this week. Started the week all hot with Elliot, and Chris Kelleher. And
honestly, that feels like a week ago already.
We got more downloads on Chris Kelleher than we did on Elliot. So that was awesome, and we appreciate that. And we are working on having Jackie back with us. I know we said she'd be a regular contributor like once a month, so. We are working on having her for next week. She's obviously making her way back into the NHL from her WWF duties, and that was obviously a great guest for us to have. So we're working on that, and next week will be a little bit of a short week, but we'll talk to you guys about that on Monday. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Daily Faceoff YouTube. It was just yesterday we were trying to hit 20,000. I think we hit 35,000 subscriptions on YouTube, so that's awesome. We appreciate all you for that. Get those automatic downloads going on podcasts and Spotify, and if you have 30 seconds, go leave us a review. Hit those stars and leave us a couple of words. Those are only going to help us continue to grow the show. I've seen them grow a little bit, but not a lot. And so I'm going to ask all of our most loyal listeners, even if you're a YouTuber, just go over there and just give us a review, right? Give us a review, give the show a follow on those platforms, even if you don't use it. That's what I'm asking you all to gift Johnny and I for Hanukkah and for Christmas is a couple of nice reviews and follows over on the audio platforms, because we want to make sure we keep this 50,000 a week download situation going. It's huge for the growth of our show and continues to put us in a good place, Johnny. So I know we still have one order of business left, and then we'll tell everybody have a great weekend.
Yeah, so let's get into our Bet365 bet of the night. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. And remember, you must be 19 or older. We should have mentioned to Reamer that they screwed us last night with the Red Wings money line on the back-to-back. But tonight, we're going to go with the new GM bump. It's the Jarmo Kekalainen era starting in Buffalo tonight. They're hosting the Philadelphia Flyers. The Sabres have actually won 3 in a row. They're coming off of a road trip, and I know some people think this could be like one of those trap games. Philly's lost 3 of their last 4. We got to feel like Buffalo's going to come out feeling pretty good about this new chapter that they're starting tonight on home ice. So we're going with Buffalo money line over the Philadelphia Flyers to end the week. Colby, back to you.
I actually think the Flyers are going to win that game. So I would say I would hedge on that. I think the Flyers will continue. They've had a couple of overtime losses, and I think that they're gonna continue to push through. And I think that the Flyers are actually going to win that game. So we're split on our Bet365 of the night. We appreciate everybody rolling with us all week. We hope everybody has a nice and safe weekend. Lots of Christmas shopping ahead, I'm sure, for many of you that are getting ready for the big day coming up in a week. My wife has shit all over our basement, presents to be wrapped, and I just kind of shake my head, and I'm kind of like, why do these children need this much crap? Because they clearly don't. But anyways, Jonny, have a nice weekend. The
too.
Titans have a big 2-game set against the Maine Nordiques, who are right ahead of us in the standings. So it's kind of an opportunity to get ahead of them and then put a little distance. And then we play them coming out of our break 2 in a row up in their place. So big 4 games ahead, although it's split up with a 10 or 12 or 15 day break, whatever it is. But a big weekend of hockey for the New Jersey Titans, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to head to practice now and get a little special teams work in with the guys, and we'll go from there. So thanks for rolling with us all weekend. Enjoy the games throughout the next couple of days. And as always, we'll see you 9 a.m. Monday morning. Have a good weekend, everybody.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.